Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt it looking back? Not in a poetic way, literally felt watched, studied, like something cold and endless was pressing down, just out of sight. In Hessdalen, Norway, people don't stargaze anymore. Not because they don't want to, because something up there sometimes stares back, and it never blinks. The lights started long ago. Locals talked about them in low voices as far back as the 1930s. Back then it was harmless gossip, strange orbs that floated through the valley, sometimes pausing above barns or drifting across the river without making a sound. Bright, colorless lights hovering in midair. Some called it weather. Others whispered older words. Omens, watchers, spirits. But the lights weren't random. They came in waves like breathing. Then from 1981 to 1984, the valley changed. It started with cattle. Whole herds spooked at once, crashing into fences or refusing to graze near the river. At first, no one connected it to the lights. That changed in January of '82, when a retired miner named Ervik saw something from his porch. A white sphere, the size of a car, hovering at tree level. He said it moved like it was thinking, not floating. It stopped above his field, pulsed red once, then shot straight into the sky without a sound. 2 nights later, the lights came back. 15 separate sightings were reported in 1 week. Locals started calling in researchers. That's when Project Hessdalen began. What the scientists found only deepened the mystery. Their equipment picked up radiation spikes, magnetic anomalies, and once a sharp drop in background noise. Like the air itself had gone silent. Lights were filmed splitting into 2, dancing in patterns or speeding faster than any aircraft should. In one famous case, a glowing pyramid hovered over a ridge, bounced in place, then vanished mid-frame. But it wasn't just about the lights. The valley began changing. Locals reported static charges in their homes, TVs flipping channels, radios squealing with no stations, electronics fried without warning, batteries drained in minutes. In 1983, a family driving through the area at night saw a yellow orb the size of a basketball glide beside their car. The engine stalled. They sat frozen as the light pressed closer to the window, almost curious. Then it blinked out like someone flipping a switch, and the car roared back to life. By '84, the sightings peaked, 20 in a single week. Tourists poured into the valley hoping to catch a glimpse. Many left shaken. Some caught lights on film. Others only remembered the silence, the bone-deep cold, and the sense that they were being watched. Then the reports slowed. By the 2000s, sightings dropped to a few each year. Hessdalen went quiet again. The Hessdalen Automatic Measurement Station was installed to record whatever it could. It caught some things, but never enough. In 2011, 2 Italian researchers revisited old video footage. One clip from '98 showed something odd. A triangle of lights blinking in sequence, top, left, right. Then they noticed the shadows. They didn't match. One shadow moved before the light above it did, as if the light wasn't the source, but the echo of something else. Still, no explanation stuck. Plasma theories, alien theories, even theories about underground bases. All of them tried, none confirmed. Most scientists blamed atmospheric tricks, light refraction, or distant headlights. But the valley's residents had a different take. Nothing that moves like it thinks is just light. In October 2019, something changed again. A group of hikers from Trondheim set up camp near Mount Finnsohøgda. They weren't ghost hunters, just students drawn by the mystery. They brought cameras, thermal sensors, and a drone. At 2:17 a.m., they recorded something they couldn't explain. The drone's GPS stopped responding mid-flight. It hovered, then turned sharply, without command, and sped off toward the ridge. Its video feed caught a blinding red glow, pulsing rapidly, then static. When they retrieved the drone the next morning, its housing was scorched, melted slightly along the arms. No fire, no explanation. That same night, one student swore he woke to find the tent glowing faintly from the outside. Not white, not yellow, but a deep violet hue that pulsed like a heartbeat. He didn't unzip the flap. He said he couldn't move. Something about the air outside felt wrong, too still. like the world had been paused. They left the valley that morning and never returned. The footage was uploaded, then quietly taken down after a week. One frame, just one, was saved. It shows a shape above the tree line. Not a sphere, not a triangle, a vertical slit of light, too tall for a person, too thin for a door. But it wasn't on the hill. It was in front of the camera, floating, facing it. By early 2020, local sightings began again. Quietly at first, farmers muttering to each other, hikers leaving early. Nothing confirmed. But then came the incident with the geologist near Lake Uyungan, and the recording that shouldn't have existed. The one that broke the AMS system's automatic upload protocol and triggered a manual override. The one that showed movement inside the light. The Hessdalen automatic measurement station wasn't built to feel fear. It was metal, sensors, code. But in February 2020, something made it go blind. For 3 minutes, every camera, sensor, and relay inside the station cut out. When the system rebooted, a single file had bypassed every filter and flagged itself for manual review. Not by accident, the file name had been changed, cme.mp4. Even though the station wasn't connected to any live interface that allowed manual input. The file was 37 seconds long. The first 15 showed nothing unusual, just a static frame of the valley in black and white infrared. Then, at the 17-second mark, a shape entered from the right. It wasn't light, it was the absence of light. A black slit, vertical, like before, but shifting, folding inward on itself, almost breathing. It pulsed once. Then a shape emerged from inside it. Tall, human height, but too narrow, too still. No facial features, no glow, no eyes, but you could feel them. The station recorded a sudden spike in local electromagnetic readings, then static. That was the last thing it ever captured. The AMS shut down completely the following day. No power failure, no fire. Every piece of hardware intact. It just stopped. Engineers blamed a short, officials blamed weather, but those who knew the station's software protocols called it something else, intentional. 3 weeks later, 2 of the Italian researchers from the EMBLA project returned to the valley to investigate. They brought new equipment, this time designed to run offline, with no radio signals or internet feeds. Everything analog, film reels, mechanical timers. They stayed near Mount Rognefjell for 4 nights. On the 5th, their tent was found shredded, not torn by wind, sliced, clean cuts like something razor sharp had passed through it without touching anything inside. The men were gone. No tracks, no sign of struggle. One of their watches was found still ticking, the hands stuck at 4:11 a.m. That night, an amateur photographer in nearby Åland caught something on film from 20 kilometers away. He'd set up a long exposure shot of the night sky, hoping to catch the aurora. Instead, he captured a line of lights, 3 points, evenly spaced, suspended in the valley like stars had dropped to earth. But behind them, something darker than night, a black shape that blocked out the stars. When he zoomed in, he saw something that made him stop photographing for good. The center light wasn't glowing, it was blinking. By the end of 2020, quiet rumors spread. A forestry team refused to work near Lillfjellet. Drone hobbyists lost contact with aircraft in midair, only to find them hours later, crashed without impact damage. Batteries melted like wax. Campers vanished. Locals said the valley wasn't empty anymore, it was waiting. In 2021, the Norwegian government quietly paused all public research into the Hessdalen Lights. The reason given was lack of funding, but a leaked internal memo suggested otherwise. It mentioned inconsistencies between recorded visual phenomena and known atmospheric models, and warned of interference patterns consistent with observation loops. That last part haunted those who read it. Observation loops, the idea that what we were watching was watching us and adjusting, that the more we studied the lights, the more the lights studied back, that the lights weren't a phenomenon, they were a behavior, or worse, a message. The last confirmed sighting was on August 3, 2022. A wildlife tracker hiking solo near Lake Hessdalen took a single picture with his phone. The image showed the classic Hessdalen orb, reddish, glowing, still. But just behind it, partly hidden in the trees, was a shape, a tall slit of black, and from that slit, faintly lit by the red glow in front of it, a hand. No one saw him again. Since then, Hessdalen has gone almost completely quiet, not because the light stopped, but because people stopped reporting. They stopped going up the ridge. Farmers now avoid their own land after dark. Drones are banned. And though no one says it aloud, a quiet understanding has settled into the bones of the valley. The lights are not alone, and they never were. So the question stands, what do you do when the sky no longer follows the rules? When light becomes not just something you see, but something that sees you. You stop looking, or you become part of whatever it is they're building, piece by blinking piece, frame by frame, until someday we realize we were never the ones watching. We were the experiment all along.